Welcome to another edition of the News Review. In this edition, China and Russia have agreed to expand their trade, energy, and political ties as the leaders of the two countries hold talks in Moscow. The two leaders hailed the, quote, special relations between their countries and pledged a deeper and more practical cooperation. President Vladimir Putin highlighted the prospects for increasing cooperation in the energy sector, referring to China as the biggest importer of Russian natural gas. Regarding the war in Ukraine, the Russian president said China's peace proposal could be used as a basis for settlement of the conflict when the West and Kiev are ready. Putin, however, stressed that Western countries seeking to fight Russia and Ukraine until the last Ukrainian. China's President Xi Jinping, for his part, said that his country remains impartial in the conflict and supports peace and dialogue to end the war. To discuss that further, we're joined by John Bosnish, journalist and activist and political analyst from Belgrade. Also, Jim Kavanaugh, political analyst and blogger from New York. Let's begin with Mr. John Bosnish, who is joining us live from Belgrade. Mr. Bosnish, we have been discussing, particularly with you, the new world order, and now we are seeing steps being taken in practice, and this one obviously as a major step.
Absolutely. This is the single largest step that China could make in support of Russia's struggle against Western encroachment into its hinterland in Ukraine. This is the biggest step China could make, short of making a military commitment to support Russia. Not only is the timing perfect, because it comes only a few days after the kangaroo court in The Hague, the ICC, attempted to make a criminal out of President Putin, but it is not just a lukewarm voicing of support, but it is the maximum support that China could show diplomatically by having its head of state travel to Russia to visit President Putin in the Kremlin and to declare him to be China's dear friend. This is the maximum China can do, and it is a maximum slap in the face in the face of the USA and its military colonies inside NATO.
So, Mr. Kavanaugh, Mr. Bosnish did explain how important this trip is. It is, in his own words, the most significant step China could take, short of becoming militarily involved in the war with Ukraine. In your opinion, how significant is this? What does it spell for the world? What does this mean now?
Well, look, these are two countries. This is a tableau that the United States is apoplectic about, because it is, as the previous gentleman said, it's the beginning of an alliance that's capable of resisting American imperialism and changing the world order. These are countries, what the United States thought would happen was that this action in Ukraine would demonstrate its power, that its sanctions over Russia would demonstrate its power, that the military it had built up in Ukraine, which was the most powerful army in Europe, would demonstrate its power. What's happened instead is that it's demonstrated its weakness. Russia and China have demonstrated that they don't care what the United States is doing, and they can do all just fine without and better without the United States without being involved with this whole partnership and nonsense with the United States, and they can create their own. This is now a nucleus. What you're seeing with Xi and Putin is a nucleus of a new world order that is very attractive. It's a pole of attraction to the global South and the rest of the world, who are seeing that the United States is not omnipotent. In fact, it's very weak, and it's getting weaker. And these two countries are getting stronger, and they are in a position where they demonstrate that we will deal with other countries in the world in a reasonable way, without hypocrisy, without preaching to them, without military threats. And here we are, and we're together, and that's what we stand for. And we stand for an end to unipolar American hegemony, and that's a very powerful pole of attraction for the rest of the world.
Exactly, Mr. Kavanaugh. So, Mr. Bosnish, in your opinion, How does this actually affect the war in Ukraine? And now we have China there with a proposal for a peace deal. Is the West ready for any kind of peace negotiation?
Well, immediately upon China's effort to bring a peace solution to the agenda, the American propaganda response was to accuse China of running diplomatic cover for Russia. Now, Russia does not need any diplomatic cover. Russia is a world great power. It is a military superpower, and it has stood by the rule of law, the just international rule of law, till today, and it rejects the perversion of justice into kangaroo courts like the ICC. I strongly underline every word of your other guest today. This is a turning point, and we are seeing the formation, indeed, of a nucleus of a new center of gravity in the world. And this center of gravity has every potential to dwarf that of the United States, its intellectual masters in England, and its military colonies in the EU. This is a historic turning point, and I think that the physical visit of Xi to see Putin, once again to stress this, in Moscow, speaks louder than any words. The physical presence of coming to embrace and to shake the hand of a man that the West would tell the world a lie, would tell the world is a war criminal. This is significant to a degree that the West did not anticipate. It's obvious that they snookered themselves here. And China is not only seeking a mutual understanding and cooperation with Russia, China is also reading the writing on the wall, because it sees that law means nothing in the West, and that the words that the West uses when it promises not to expand its military activity to the East and so on mean nothing, and that China itself is just as much a target of the United States and its military colonies as Russia is, and they must work together to survive. This is not just China helping Russia, this is China helping itself.
And also, as you mentioned yourself, Mr. Bosnish, it undermines completely everything that the West has so far built. Let's take into consideration the ICC. And Mr. Kavanaugh, just a few days ago, the ICC issued a warrant to arrest President Putin, the president of a nuclear state. It sounds nothing but a joke.
You know, it's flabbergasting. It flabbergasts me. I'm gobsmacked by doing this. You can see online the videos of John Bolton saying the ICC is nothing to us. We have nothing to do with it. John Bolton went and threatened the judges of the ICC. So you have the international organizations more and more demonstrating they've been intimidated by the United States. They've been threatened by the United States. The United States is not a party to the IOC. Few days before the IOC issued this arrest warrant against Putin, the Pentagon said, we don't want the United States bringing charges against Putin because they can bring charges against us. So this is so transparently hypocritical. And if you notice, it's very strange what they did, because this charge that they're bringing against Putin and his Minister of Children's Affairs, the woman who's the minister, is not on the basis of he attacked another country. It's on the basis of this program for bringing kids from a war zone, okay, which the United States has done, every country has done, but they've avoided going to the issue that would precisely be an issue that would condemn every American president, which is attacking another country. So they've crafted an arrest warrant on a basis that deliberately avoids what would be the main issue, essentially, and concocts this story about, I don't know what this program is about the kids, and let's look into it. But the fact is, the United States and Israel have destroyed the architecture of international law and international relations over the past 50, 60 years. And they can't just now pop up and say, oh, here's an arrest warrant what do they think is going to happen? Who's going to arrest Vladimir Putin? I mean, this is just absurd and hypocritical. And the point is that everybody outside the Euro-American media bubble sees this. Everybody in the rest of the world knows what hypocrisy this is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jim Kavanagh. Mr. Bosnich, before we wrap this up, your final comment regarding this ICC warrant.
Well, you know, we know that the Chinese have a ancient culture, and it goes back thousands and thousands of years. And it is important to note that this visit by the Chinese president came on the first day of spring, and that it represents a total rebirth of the world geopolitical situation. It is symbolic, it is significant on the local level in Ukraine, and it means that China has now given Russia the complete go-ahead to neutralize the NATO aggression in Ukraine. And we are seeing now a West which can only respond with what George Orwell called doublethink. They are thinking two completely contradictory ideas at the same time, that they are immune to the ICC, but that Putin is subject to the ICC. We've entered the land of the madmen, and the madmen in Washington think they can fool us, and they cannot. Their time is up. Their empire is falling.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Bosnich, journalist, activist, and political analyst, joining us live from Belgrade. Also, Jim Kavanagh, political analyst and blogger from New York. Thank you very much to both of you, gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the News Review. And thanks to all of you for watching this edition.